Hello and welcome to Learning Excel 2016. My name is Mike Henry and this is the fifth video from Chapter 2. In this video we're going to learn about the concepts of conditional formatting, changing the look or the feel of a cell based on what the content of that cell is. So I've moved myself to a sheet that again you won't have. I put some numbers in here because I want you to see some concepts with conditional formatting that really didn't show as well as I'd like to see them in the way the book does them. So you can see I've got a block of numbers here and they're all pretty standardized numbers, and unless you were really paying close attention you might have missed or had not even seen yet that there was one number in here that's negative. These two tiny little brackets showing us that that's a negative number doesn't really stand out. So conditional formatting allows us to change the format and look of a cell and make it pop out based on the content of a particular cell. So what we're going to do here is we don't know which cell is going to be the one that's going to change, so I highlight all of these cells because you never know what's going to happen. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this area here called conditional formatting. And basically right now, this first one, we're going to look for the numbers that are going to be the most concerning, which would be a negative number. And so I come down here and I'm going to show you how to create a rule from scratch. So we go right here to New Rule, and then right here it says Format Cells That Contain. So I click on this, and this basically is giving me this little equation. It says if the cell value is between. Well, we decided we're looking for betweens. We wanted to know all the negative cells. So if I say is less than, and I put 0 here, so basically this now says if their cell value is less than 0, change the format to here, which has no format change. So what we're going to do is we're going to change that format. Now right now it's showing that it's just basically white on black in our preview. And so what we're going to do is we're going to say, let's make this pop out really well. So I'm going to change the text color because I'm on the font tab. I'm going to change the text color to white. So now it's white on white. And unless you're a polar bear, that's not going to show up well for you. But I'm going to come up here and I'm going to take the background or the fill and I'm going to change that to be red. Now with a red background and white text, let's see what happens here. You can see that that's how this is going to look if a cell is below 0. And you can see right away that cell has popped, and you can see we've got an issue. That store didn't sell anything. As a matter of fact, it had $1,000 in returns if that was a store's sales. So let's just take and look over here. Let's make this one negative 1,500. And you can see that that one quickly turns negative. This one, if their sales go up, and let's say their sales were 45,000, you can see that the red disappears. So the conditional formatting, it's saying I am changing based on a condition, and that condition in this case was the rule of show me everything that has a negative number. Okay? So taking this back to the sales report, you can see that the net change area here is the area that would be based on these formulas over here. So in this case I would say let's put this conditional formatting. And I am going to use how they do it in the book. Instead of creating a new rule, I'm going to use a highlight rule. And you can see that here they say highlight if it's less than. So I put in here less than, and they put in a number which is the average of everything. I'm going to put in if it's less than 0, and I'm going to leave it light red with dark red text, and I hit OK. And you go, okay, well that's there, but it doesn't matter because there's no negative numbers. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to do our highlight this and format paint, and we'll click right here. And now you can see that if you format paint, you also take the conditional formatting rules. We see that this turned light pink in the background with a dark red text because those are negative numbers. Those pop out now. Our eye is drawn to those and we can see those very quickly and efficiently. I'm going to show you another rule here that is important. And what we're going to look at is all this data. So what I have to do for us to really see everything here is I have to bring this down just a little bit, and I think 50 was the size that lets me see everything. So I know you can't see the numbers, but we can see the whole block of things. And so I highlight this whole block of numbers. And this is an important thing to me in here, because what I'm going to do is actually I have to re-highlight this. You do not want the totals in this, because what we're going to do is we're going to compare everything in the block to itself. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a rule right here under conditional formatting, and we're going to use the bottom and top rules. So what I want to know is the top 10 amounts, the top 10 stores, monthly store sales. So I come here to the top 10 and I click here and it says show me the top 10, and I'm filling with this. I might decide, you know what, I'd rather be green because this is about revenue and this is positive. So you can quickly hit here and I hit OK. And now if I expand this a little, you can see that these are the biggest numbers inside this whole block. So this is showing me the 10 biggest numbers inside all the numbers that we were looking at, and it highlights those in that aspect. I could have done top 10% instead of 10, and I would have seen the top 10% of numbers. And you could have changed that percentage in there. You could have shown the top 25 or the top 14, either whole unit numbers, top 14 units, or I could have shown the top 14%. So this gives us the ability to look at who's doing the best. At the same time, I could have done this and highlight it down. And I could have also done the bottom. So show me the bottom, and in this case, we'll do the bottom 15%. So I click on the bottom 10, and I just change this up to the 15, and you can see as I changed it, more and more turned red in the background. So now, as a manager, I can say, these green ones, they're doing great, but you are in the bottom percent of sales if you are red. So this particular store here is not having a good year. Only 3 months were they not in the bottom 10%, or excuse me, 15%, as is this store here. So this gives us a quickly ability to analyze things. Now, the conditional formatting rules have lots of different rules that we can do in here. So you can see in here we have bottom and top rules, we have the highlight rules. In a future chapter we're going to play a lot more with data bars and coloring scales that we can play with, but there's a lot of things you can do with conditional formatting. Conditional formatting. It is one of the real strengths of spreadsheets. We can have certain cells pop out. We can see things as formulas, as the conditions change, we can have these cells pop out. This is very useful to an end user. An end user might not have the time to go through and look at each cell to make sure it's either positive or negative. They might not have the time to sit there and go, this cell is bigger than that cell. But with colors, we can quickly make cells pop out. People can suddenly go, uh-oh, we've got a problem over here, and then they can focus in on analyzing what's causing that problem and how to get that problem taken care of. Conditional formatting's job is to raise its hand up and say, hey, look at me, I have something going on that you need to pay attention to me for. So a very useful tool, conditional formatting, and it's based on what inside the cell, the content of a cell.